1% better every day. 1% better, come with me. Built with a purpose, made to rise. Created by God, right in his eyes. 1%
Hey, what's
better.
up, guys? This is Dr. Rob with 1% Better Podcast, where we here try to get you 1% better. So in 1 year, you can get 37 times better in your life. And we try to share other people's experiences, thoughts, philosophies to get you better in your healthy habits, your relationships, your family, any goals that you have. So we're really excited today to have Daniel Sardegna. He is a SWAT officer of Redlands PD. He's a husband, a father of 3 daughters, a purple belt in jiu-jitsu, CrossFit athlete, fitness models for brands like 511 Tactical and Forge Fitness. And his story is really amazing. I watch what he does online, and he is one of my students. He comes in, he's disciplined, but when I see him, I see discipline, fun, and a good lifestyle. So what's up, Daniel? How are you doing?
I'm great. Hey, thanks for having me on, and I'm looking forward to doing this podcast.
Yeah. So, I wanted to bring you on just because I wanted to talk to you about like your background. Like, you look like this tough guy, right? You're a strong guy, but when I see your posts, it seems like you're a soft guy too. You're a family man. So, who is Daniel Sardegna?
Yeah, man. I guess I'll start from the beginning. You know, I grew up in a small town in IE called Yucaipa, which is not too far from here. Lower middle class family. The first home that I grew up in was probably 1,000 square feet. I wouldn't say it was a bad neighborhood by any stretch of the imagination, but we lived right next door to a park. That's kind of where I got my release as a kid. I grew up playing basketball, and I was a skateboarder, and so I saw my fair share of things at that park. Got into my fair share of stuff there as well, and
like fist fights, or
fist fights. Running from the police and stuff like that. Like
the other side. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Currently just I actually met my wife in high school. We're high school sweethearts. Next week we'll be celebrating 20 years actually of marriage.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks, man. And we have 3 beautiful daughters, 21, 17, and 12 years old. My career in law enforcement started in 2005, like you said, in the city of Redlands. I've been there ever since. One thing about me is I'm a loyal human being, so I'm never going to deviate. And I've had a blessed career there. I can't say I can only say nothing but good things about my organization, even though, there's difficult times anywhere you go, but they definitely have treated me right over the years, and I have nothing to complain about there. As far as like education and stuff, I got my undergrad from Cal State San Bernardino, and later went on to get my master's in management from the University of Redlands. And the fun side of me is like, and I'm 42 years old, but like I think we are the social media generation. We created it and did all that stuff. And
that's true.
So like I have fun on my socials, Instagram, TikTok, whatever. I try to get my family involved in a lot of that stuff. Way back when, it was more of like a fitness thing for me. Like I would record my workouts and all that other stuff. And then I slowly started getting my wife into like skits and my oldest and my youngest daughter, they don't want to be part of it.
They don't want to do it, right?
No, like they used to. So like during the 2020 era of things, I used to do TikTok Tuesday with my kids, and we'd find some viral dance, and we would do that, and that was like on my account that was pretty large at the time, and so that was fun, and it kind of
Were they excited to do TikTok Tuesdays, or was it like pulling teeth?
It was like pulling teeth, dude.
Yeah, I understand.
My middle daughter, who still does them with me from time to time.
Yeah.
She was kind of like hey, like, let's do this one. And
that's
like,
cool.
And so like, I would try to incorporate all of them. And like, if my wife would come home from work, we would do like a prank or something.
Yeah.
And, try to have fun with it. And I still try to have fun with it. My wife is in a lot more of them today.
Yeah. Is it like pulling teeth with her too? Or does she she's starting to enjoy it?
So it's not like pulling teeth with her, but she has to be ready. Like if I get her in a moment where she's not had a shower yet,
You're in trouble.
yeah. She's like, do not post that, you know? And I, sometimes I do, and I just kind of,
You eat it later.
yeah, I roll the dice, you know, and see what happens. But, yeah, man. So I try to have fun with it. And, as I was telling your partners over here, like I do a lot of it, honestly, just because I want to humanize what I do. There's been people like in the neighborhoods that I work in, they're like, hey, I saw your TikTok. Yeah, that was funny. That was hilarious.
And then, so let's go back a little bit.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
So you said you went to college.
Yeah.
And then how did that transition into going into the police department and SWAT?
Yeah. So I always wanted to be a cop, from a young age. My mom even would tell me like, hey, like, before you could like walk and talk, like we knew that like you were kind of going in that direction. So, you know, as an adolescent, I always thought military or law enforcement or something like that. And I didn't know if I was going to go family business or if I was going to go down the road of law enforcement, my true passion. And it just so happened that, there's two major things that happened in my life as a kid. One, I ran from the police. And
how old were you when you ran from the police?
I was probably like 14, 15 years old. Yeah, like I was a little skateboard kid at the time, and we were at a place we shouldn't have been. And, you know, like I ran, and then I actually stopped. Like, I don't want to give the cop too much credit. He didn't catch me, but I stopped because I figured the consequences were going to be much worse if I kept running, and he caught me. And this deputy, I wish I could remember his name, man, because he really opened my eyes to a lot of things at that moment in time. And I've told this story before, but he kind of put a boot to my ass, and he was like, look, man, like, you're just skateboarding. It's not that big of a deal. He's like, but the people don't want you here. You got to respect their wishes. And, you know, there's laws that pertain to this type of stuff. So you can either continue to have dealings with me and end up in the back of that car and then eventually in a jail cell and all those other things, or you could take a different path and, you know, kind of play by the rules. And I vividly remember him, just old school deputy, real thick mustache, cigarette. Yeah, like cowboy boots, you know, revolver on the hip, like, you know, nowhere near the gear that we carry today. Like, so super old school, like, you know, this early 90s. And then when in high school, when I met my wife, I didn't know this at the time, but her father-in-law, or my father-in-law, her dad was a sergeant for Redlands PD.
Oh, okay.
And, you know, he does the typical dad stuff. Hey, what do you want to do with your life? What are your intentions with my daughter? You know,
filtering you out.
Yeah, totally. And, you know, and I didn't know this again. I didn't know the extent of it, at least. And he's like, well, and I told him, I was like, oh, I'd like to get in law enforcement one day. And he kind of, from that point on, like, kind of was like taking me under his wing and showing me stuff and taking me to like community events that he was hosting. He was in charge of at the time we had a Northside substation in the city of Redlands, and he was in charge of all the community activities and all that stuff. And so I would go with him at 15, 16 years old, and I would go volunteer with him. And, you know, he would do like bicycle safety rodeos, and they'd give away bikes and stuff like that to the kids. And so I was mostly just like a mechanic, like working on bikes and stuff at that time. But I got to get introduced to a lot of important people in Redlands, particularly in the north side of Redlands, which historically has kind of been the lower socioeconomic area of town. But I think that was like kind of like the go ahead for this for me. Like, man, like I want to do this. I want to help people. Like I see that he's making a difference in their lives. You know, like they all called him by first name. His first name's Carlos. So they're like, hey, Carlos, thank you so much for the bicycle. Thank you for the lunch. Thank you for this. Thank you for that. He would regularly, after school, my wife and I, we would go to his office, you know, because we were in Redlands going to get lunch or something like that. And we'd go visit him at his office, and he'd regularly have people in there, and he'd be like solving all of their problems. And I thought that was like the coolest thing ever. So that's kind of the direction I wanted to take my career. And my career kind of took a different path, in the sense that I went right into like our gang unit. Like I found a niche there. I worked a little over 9 years collectively on that unit. So as an officer, as a corporal, and as a sergeant. And
so in the gang unit, you're actually on the field.
Yeah.
Physically, they're not in an office or anything.
Right,
like that, right?
We're you're 2-man cars. You're going out there and you're just you're a proactive unit throughout the city. And, a lot of times outside of the city. Mm-hmm. And you're kind of the do-it-all crew, doing a lot of gang investigation type stuff, putting a lot of bad guys in jail. You're at the time we were the manhunt team, so we would go and hunt for people for the detective bureau and whatnot. And that was a great ride, as an officer. And I learned a lot there. And that was my niche. Mm-hmm. I just have been good at that, cultivating informants, stuff like that, mm-hmm. where, it set me on this trajectory to really stay on that path in my career, all through the ranks that I've been through. It's been a wealth of experience for me.
What's one physical altercation or experience with a gang unit that kind of like opened up your eyes or make you want to become a better person or want to help other people? Because there's a stigma, right? Like police officers don't want to help other people. They just want to take all their anger out on the citizens, right? So can you explain a little bit about that, how you are human and you do want to use SWAT to help other people?
Yeah, man. So we're human beings and we're emotional human beings as well, right? Mm-hmm. We feel all the things that normal people do, and we get kind of put into this bracket that we're robots and we don't have feelings, and we do. And I remember vividly one of my best friends now. He also took me under my wing as a young officer, or under his wing as a young officer, and he's risen through the ranks. And one time when we used to be partners on the gang team, and we dealt with this dude, and we get into it. There's definitely a steady scuffle and a fight, and I wasn't using all the appropriate language I probably should have been using. And he pulls me aside and he goes, "Hey, bro, the way you get through these people is you kill them with kindness." Mm-hmm. And I've kind of lived by that mantra ever since. And when I see guys getting heavy-handed or, stepping out of line with, their tone or whatever, I try to pull them away from that situation and do my job as their boss to be like, "Yo, man, like, you're probably going to get a lot further with this person if you calm down and talk to them like a human being and, try to get into their world a little bit." Mm-hmm. So that was probably one of the biggest ways for me, or biggest moments for opening my eyes to how to actually deal with a criminal element, mm-hmm. And be successful at it. Mm-hmm. And
I call that verbal jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, there is actually it's called verbal judo in law school.
They call it judo.
And there's this whole pie chart, and there's pillars to it and all these things, and so they call it verbal judo in law enforcement.
So what happens when in jiu-jitsu, you try to sweep them, it doesn't work, then you have to go to plan B. What happens if verbal judo doesn't work?
Yeah, man, the big buzzword over the last handful of years is this de-escalation, right?
Yeah.
And, there's a lot of training out there for how to talk to people. Mm-hmm. But I think talking to people has to come naturally to you.
100%.
And if you're not comfortable having a casual conversation with somebody, I think those de-escalation tactics don't work as well as I think the public or the law enforcement world would like. Mm-hmm. And again, those are just my personal opinions, my personal observations of things. And so you see a lot of new officers that are really uncomfortable talking to people. And I don't think that it's necessarily their fault. It might be the environment that they grew up with. Like we talked about, the isolation of the COVID years and stuff like that. And there's a lot of those kids that were going through high school at that time or that are now becoming new police officers, that they just didn't get that social interaction maybe that they needed. And I know that's a little bit of a tangent on the question, but I think that it's important to understand that using your words may not solve the problem. And I'm not saying that law enforcement needs to be going out there beating people up and all that other stuff, but I think a form of de-escalation is also force.
Yeah.
And it's what step did you get to that in? Did you try your verbal stuff, communicating all the things, and then did you go to the escalation of force? So there's definitely levels to it, but I think some people are just not going to listen to what we have to say.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Instagram lawyers out there, a lot of people that say, oh, I know the law, I don't have to do this, that, and the other. Yeah, you might have heard what the law is, but you don't know how it's applied in this particular sense. And I think that's why cops need to be very educated in case law and understand the laws and what their rights are as police officers to enforce out there. And if you can't do it by the minimum standard, then sometimes you have to take it to that next level. And that's why jiu-jitsu is important.
Yeah.
I don't think cops should be out there just pummeling people, you know, like there's a time and a place, and I'm not going to say that there's not, because I've been in my fair share of those. But when it gets to the point where you can control somebody by using the techniques that we go over or I've learned, then I think that's the better way.
So I travel the globe a lot, and I just came back from Australia, and they have some really tougher drug laws.
Yeah.
And coming back to California, it almost seems like we don't have any drug laws, and the homelessness rate goes up. I think a lot of the times drugs can make someone more aggressive or more angry. When you're getting into these situations, how much of the time are these guys are involved with drugs?
Oh, it's my particular situations all the time.
All the time.
Yeah. Like back when I was working in the gang unit, like I worked narcotics. I worked, in the detective bureau as a person's detective, investigating violent crimes. And my current team assignment, like 99% of the time you're dealing with people that are high. Nowadays it's more of the fentanyl. Back when I was coming up through the ranks, it was more methamphetamine and heroin. But everybody that we deal with in my particular situation is high on something. And that's not to say that regular patrol officers aren't dealing with that most of the time, but they're also going to calls for service where it's like, hey, your car was broken into. You're a victim. You're not high. Well, at least we would think not, right? But you're dealing with the victim side more. Whereas on the teams that I've been part of, you're dealing with the criminal element more. You're on the back end of it. You're going to solve those problems for the people they victimize. So I think a lot of those criminals are involved in narcotics activity, illicit drug use. And we just had a case the other day where he self-proclaimed himself America's Most Wanted, and I've been chasing this guy since the beginning of my career, and it's a kind of a revolving door for him. And we do our investigation. We kind of find out where he's at. We set up on surveillance, and we take him into custody. But we've missed a lot of times with this dude because he is on high alert on the stuff he's using. So, So
is he like not using it, and he's not? I mean, obviously he dodged you guys a lot.
Yeah.
So was he not high and he got away, or was he so high that he was able to get away?
So the previous times, I think he was so on high alert and paranoid, he was just on top of it.
Got it.
And he was, and be it what it may, but kudos to him because we got burned a couple times. Like we weren't as good as our jobs as we probably should have been, and then this time I think he was just so smoked out, so been high for so long that he let his guard down, and we were able to take him into custody. But There's this kind of revolving door in California, and I think it's across the nation as well, and maybe even across the globe. But there's this revolving door of criminality, and in California, we're doing our best that we can with the resources that we've been given and the laws and the roles that we have to play within, and it's tough to be a cop in California. Because we want to take bad guys to jail. Mm-hmm. If you're a victim of something, we want to help you out. But as a victim, you also know that
you're a human.
Well, no, that as a victim, you know that this bad guy's going to be out of jail in a few days.
Yeah.
And as a victim, I would be like, man, that sucks. Like, this guy just ruined my life. He stole my car, broke into my house, whatever the case may be. Maybe assaulted you, or even worse. And now this guy's already out of jail, and I'm not blaming the courts, and I'm not blaming the DA's office or any of that stuff. I just think that they have to follow the rules too, that, and all this legislation that's come into place in California. And so all of law enforcement, the courts, everybody has a real tough job to do. Mm-hmm. And I don't envy their position at the court level either, because, we're like, hey, talk to the DA, but it's not necessarily their fault either.
And I hear one of the other guys we train with is a DA too, so I get to hear that side of the story.
Yeah,
and it's interesting. When I went to Bali in Indonesia, and I was asking the taxi driver, I'm like, hey man, like, if I got caught with some weed here, what would they do to me? They're like, oh my God, they're going to put a target on your back and they're going to shoot you. It was like horrible, right?
Yeah.
And in California, you get caught. Weed is recreational now.
Yeah,
right?
Pretty much, yeah.
But I asked the taxi driver, I'm like, oh, what if you get caught drinking beer? He's like, oh man, we drink beer driving all the time.
Man.
I'm like, this is great. Like, it's so backwards in different cultures.
Yeah.
That's why I love hearing everybody's stories and what they have to go through. But that's very interesting.
I didn't really touch on the SWAT stuff. And I'll go back to that. And if you want to edit it out, you can.
No. But, I want to hear it all.
But so SWAT for Redlands, we're a small organization. Mm-hmm. I think our cap number is like 98 officers. We float around 80 something officers, and then you can account for at least 2 to 3% of those 80 something officers being off on injury or some other thing at any moment. So we're never at full capacity. So we're a small agency, but we have 18 to 20 man SWAT team. I'm one of the team leaders on it. I've been on it since its reinception. So back in the 70s, 80s, and early 90s, there was a SWAT team there, and it was dissolved because the California Post regulations, police officer standard in training is what POST stands for. And, say you have to have a certain number of officers and training hours and all this other stuff. So it came back. We were an SRT team before then, which was a small team. And then, and I was on that team from like 2009 to 2014 or something like that. And then in 2015, we had a chief at the time that had brought the SWAT team back. And so I've been on it at all levels, officer, all ranks rather. Mm-hmm. And I'm still on the team.
How does the SWAT, like when I think SWAT, I'm like, man, that's pretty intense. How does the SWAT differ from like Redlands PD?
So it's
more training.
It's definitely more training. We're, unfortunately, like there's a stigma about SWAT guys, like that they just kind of like wait to react type thing. Mm-hmm. But what people don't really realize about SWAT training is that most SWAT guys, and I could say this genuinely because I've trained with a lot of teams, they take the training very seriously because you are the oh shit button. Mm-hmm. You're the last call that like, hey, like we can't resolve this issue and we need you to come. Mm. And that's not to say that there's aren't patrol guys or other police officers that can't resolve those issues, because you look it up on YouTube, they're doing it every single day. Mm-hmm. You watch an episode of Cops, they're solving critical incidents, right? But like I said, we're kind of like the last stop. So like we take our training seriously. We're training monthly. Where a normal cop gets to maybe shoot 15 to 20 rounds every quarter, we're putting hundreds of rounds down. And that's to say that we're going to resolve whatever the situation is by gunfire, because we're training with gas, we're training with, entry tools. We're training with all the things that are going to try to bring that person into custody as safe as possible. And we're doing all of that. And, one of my good buddies, he says this a lot, but he's like, SWAT is a thinking man's game. It's chess. And I think that like guys like myself and like you, like that's kind of like we do jiu-jitsu as well, right? Like it's a thinking man's game. You said it the other day in class, right? Like strength's not going to get you everywhere in jiu-jitsu. It's I believe that it's a portion of it. Your physical fitness and it is part of the game. But you have to use what's between the ears more than your brute strength. And it's the same for SWAT. You have to use what's between the ears. So I can say, at least on my team, that every single person on that team is a critical thinker. They're thinking outside the box. They're looking at ways to solve the puzzle or play the chess game better than the opponent. And historically, and I'm biased to it, but historically, those are the guys that make the best future leaders, because they've been living in this realm of critical thinking the entirety of their career. They're not just going call to call to call. They're going call to call to call, but thinking about the what ifs, and not just A, B, and C. They're thinking like X, Y, Z as well. And I think that's the major difference between a SWAT guy and a patrol officer. Again, I work with a lot of great people at all levels, and I'm not being disparaging to them in any stretch of the imagination. But there's a reason why there's a SWAT tryout. There's testing that goes along with it, because not everybody can do it. And
Are there a lot of applicants into SWAT?
No, historically, I would have said yes. I think law enforcement in general, those numbers are down. And I couldn't put my finger on it and tell you what it is. I have my personal opinions as to what it is. But I think we're in the largest county in the nation, and those guys are having a hard time recruiting candidates. They have vacancies. And
do SWAT people get paid more than patrol?
No. Well, I guess it depends on agency, right? Okay. There's contractual stuff, like you get like a differential for being part of SWAT or whatever. In Redlands, we don't. It's kind of like more volunteer than anything.
Passion.
Yeah, passion.
So, that's kind of like why I like having you as one of our students, man. Like when you roll with a bigger, how much do you weigh? You like 200?
No, right now I'm like at 220.
Yeah, 220. Yeah. You're a big guy. You're strong, man. Like, but even though you're strong, you don't use a lot of. You use a lot of strength, but you're very technical. That you take time to think about it. I have this roll from us. Can you play that, Jose? But then don't put on any volume, because I'll have my coaching on. But you were rolling with Jose yesterday, and I was like, and you brought up how I always talked about in class, like it's not about how strong you are. And yesterday I really focused on movement. And I know in SWAT, like when I think of SWAT, there's a lot of movement. You're going, north, east, west, and we're going to barricade or whatever. But let's watch this real quick. So so number one, pause this real quick. So number one, what I wanted to say is when you switch that hip was when you're getting that arm bar more secure. When you're on the side of your hip, you're not going to secure. But he's doing a good job defending.
Right.
But when you switch that hip, go ahead and press play. Oh, can you? Okay, so you had a good idea and bailed. So you went back to movement, which was really good. And that's kind of what I was saying. We're moving back into a better position, and then we're going to go back to the armbar. So I really loved how you were just taking that information, and then you were saying, all right, bail here, go back to the armbar, because you'll always have that arm. And at some point, that was really good right there, how you got out of there and went to the back again, right? So that... in jiu-jitsu, that's to me is a lot of good jiu-jitsu. showing the movement and not just stapling yourself onto him, try to finish that armbar? Because I think at white belt, you would have just tried to finish that and then got tired, and then now he would have been on top smashing you, right?
Yeah, for sure.
How does that relate to your job, like the movement, and then the like that, say like that sequence? How would you take that sequence and learning and apply it to your job every single day?
Yeah, man. So you know who Jocko Willink is?
Yeah, Jocko. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Extreme Ownership.
Yep. Yeah. You know, I've read that book till I'm blue in the face. But
really nice.
Yeah. It's a great book, but it reminds me of a saying that they talk about a lot is cover and move. And so like that particular situation, right? It's like, hey, if something's not working, then you got to move. Or hey, transition to something new. And I really do try to take that day to day, because you never know what's coming.
Yeah.
You know, day to day. Like, hey, like you have these plans and they fall apart.
Yeah.
And so, and particularly on the team that I manage now, like every day is something like, hey, you guys got to go solve this problem, go solve this problem, go solve this problem. And so we'll be working on one problem and another problem comes up, and you have to stay moving and you have to stay open-minded to that. Hey, right now this thing is not going to work. And whatever, and that can apply to anything. You know, that can apply in the SWAT world. Hey, like you have a failed breach at the front door. Where is your secondary entry point? Where are you going? Do you have a plan? And I think it's always having a plan and always being prepared. And like I was telling you, like, hey, it's not just a plan A, B, and C. It's like X, Y, Z as well. You have to have several different plans, and you have to be able to move. You have to be able to cover what you're doing and then move on to the next thing.
So I'm not in SWAT, but I am an entrepreneur. I have my dental business and all that stuff. And I was just talking about that with my friend recently, is a lot of people fail in their business because they get stuck and then they don't do anything.
Sure.
And then it's like your next move was to move, and then I like what you say, cover and move. And if you don't move, you're just covering.
Right.
Covering for what?
Yeah.
Is it your ego? Is it your humility? Like in the entrepreneurship, sometimes this might be most of the time it is ego, right? Like, oh, I'm going to hold on to this, you know? I think most people are smart enough to make a decision, but sometimes what's holding us back from making the next movement to get better?
Yeah, you know, I think in my world, you know, ego is the number one killer of cops. Like, I've made plenty of mistakes throughout my career, and it's taking ownership of those mistakes and recognizing that you're human, and you know, and in everyday life too. I've made mistakes as a dad, a husband, you know, like, but it's owning those mistakes and building on those and trying not to replicate those mistakes over and over and over again, and learning. And, you know, like, I don't want to sound cliche, but one of my favorite quotes of that I always kind of keep in my back pocket is one by Winston Churchill, and it says something to the effect of, oh gosh, what is it now? I just lost train of thought. But essentially, it's like, hey, oh gosh, dang it, I'm sorry, I lost train of thought. But essentially, like, hey, not every win, you can't stop at every win. You know, there's an end point there, and then every failure is not and the end also, right? Yeah. So like every time you win a battle, right, you're looking to keep progressing.
Keep going,
And then every time you fail, you can't stop there, right? And so, you know, I'm sorry that the quote escaped my mind at the moment, but
yeah, I know what you're talking about. It's like, I was talking to Jiba yesterday, and we were saying the only way you lose is when you quit or you stop.
Right. Yeah, and the quote continues to say, like, it's the courage to continue on, which really counts, right? And so, like, you can have a million wins, like, right? Like, so like in jiu-jitsu, right? You get your white belt, then you get a stripe, then you get another stripe, and those are all wins. But how many failures do you have in between there? And then, you know, you eventually get your blue and your purple and so on and so forth. Like, how many failures do you have there, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's why
It's on the screen.
Oh, Jose just put it up. Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts.
Thank you, Jose.
Thanks, you got it.
Yeah. So like,
Success is not final. So success is not a point. It's not a point in life.
Right. So like you, hey, you know what? You got your blue belt, your purple belt, whatever. Congratulations. But that's not the final step.
Yeah.
Right?
So usually like, you know, when a black belt gives you your blue belt or purple belt and we know you're happy, but then the black belt's like, oh, I'm going to smash this fool, man. Because I'm gonna make sure this fool has something to think about when he gets home. And I'm going to knock the smirk off his face. And it's just so much fun, you know, because it's like a little bit of salt and pepper, like the success and then the failure. And we just love playing that game, you know?
Yeah, man. But it's, you know, and another reason why I think I'm attracted to jiu-jitsu as a sport is that it's very similar to the rank structure in law enforcement. So like your white belt is like you're a brand new cop. You're fresh out of the academy. You don't know anything. You're soaking up as much as you can, trying to learn. And every stripe you get on your white belt is another level or maybe another year in law enforcement that you have. And then eventually you become an FTO, and that's like your first stage of, you know, a field training officer. And that's like your first stage of blue belt. You got your fresh new blue belt. Now it's your first stage of leadership. And then you get a couple stripes on that blue belt, and then, hey, now you get promoted to corporal, and then now you're at your next belt, right? Maybe purple belt. Now you're just like this mid-level leadership, and then you become a sergeant, and now you're like a brown belt, right? And like, you know, and then so on and so forth. And the goal for some is to, you know, to make it to the chief of police, which could be equivalent to like the black belt, right? And so like, but even as a black belt or a chief of police, you don't know everything.
You don't know. You can still make mistakes.
Yes.
You're not like...
You're not immune to mistakes. You're still learning at that level. Because most street cops that get to the level of like chief, you know, being an administrator is way different than being a street cop. And I think that being a black belt is way different than being a white belt, right? Yeah. And there's levels to the success. But like that quote says, you know, like, it's not final. You're not,
and we're still human. We're still playing the game. We're just different years of experience, right?
100%.
That's awesome, man. So another thing I really like about you is your family. Like, it seems like you have a really good relationship with your wife and a solid relationship with your daughters. Like, how do you keep that spark going, and how important is family a priority than the other parts of your life? Because it seems like you're passionate about everything, but what keeps that priority to your wife first?
You know, I think it's a lot of trial and error, right? Like I said, I'm not immune to mistakes in my life, including my family life. I think I prioritized work and friends early on in my career and hanging out and going having a good time and drinking all the other stuff. And, you know, there's boiling points, you know, and we're human beings. I'm not going to sit here and say like we have this perfect, you know, Instagram marriage, you know, because that's just not the reality. You know, we bicker and we fight like everybody else does. But it's growing through those mistakes together, right? And we're not abandoning each other. And I think in society, too many people are ready to call it quits too early. And that maybe that's their priority, and I'm not judging anybody for that. But my wife and I have like this, it's kind of like this unwritten like bond, like, hey, no, we're going to fix the problem and we're going to work through it together. Fight for it. Yeah, and we're going to get through it together. We might not talk to each other for a couple of days or something like that. But eventually it'll be like, hey, I'm going to scoot closer to you on the couch. You know, feel
we're
this
cool,
thing.
Right? We're cool.
We're going to feel this thing out. Hey, you want to go get some dinner? Something like that. But, but I prioritize, you know, my family much more than I did as a young officer. And, you know, I was telling Jose earlier that like, you know, as a young, eager cop, you know, you bleed blue and you're going to do everything you can and my oldest daughter, she's 21, and she played like every sport, and she was actually like really into CrossFit as a young kid.
Nice.
And but I missed a lot of those moments. You know, I missed a lot of birthdays, and we're not an organization that like we're not an organization that's like, hey, you can't have time off. Like, if we can make it work, we're going to make it work for you. And especially if like you're in a specialty, like I was most of my career, it's a no-brainer. But I didn't want to miss. I felt like I had like FOMO from work, but then I wasn't considering my family. I wasn't considering like, hey, like I missed a soccer game or a basketball game or an event, a birthday, a Christmas, or whatever. And so I, and it takes, I think, something dramatic to happen. And I'm not saying like the worst thing ever, the end all be all stuff, but like for me, like at work, there was this epiphany a few years ago where I was like, what am I doing? Like, yeah, I want to move through the ranks, and yeah, I want to be on all these specialty teams, but my support system at home, that they need me more than anything. They're the ones that have my back when I come home and I'm down and I saw some crazy stuff for the day, or I've been involved in some, serious situation. Like, they're the ones that care for me, like, and that's not to say that my partners don't, but they're like the tough love, they're the tough love side of things. Like, I can actually shed a tear at home and, be embraced by my wife and my kids. And there was just like a moment, I guess, where it's like, man, it finally clicked. And and it sucks that it took so long for it to click for me.
How old were you exactly when that clicked?
I was probably 35, 37.
Okay, that's pretty young.
But it wasn't that long ago. I'm only 42 now. So, it's like, it wasn't that long ago, but like I was so focused on like, hey, I got to get to the specialty. I got to get to a promotion. I got to get to this. I got to get to that. And I rose through the ranks fast. Probably one of the fastest in my organization, but I've kind of stalled out now. And not for any other reason other than that there's no movement in the organization, but I've kind of stalled out and I kind of like it. And that's not to say that I'm not going to try to continue to go higher in rank and stuff like that. But when I hit that moment and I was like, oh man, like my support system at home is the most important thing to me. Yeah. And so, now like we prioritize vacations and all this other stuff. Like, we try to go to Mexico a couple times a year, and we try to go take weekend trips and do all that type of stuff. We're not going to Australia or anything yet, but
yeah, you should though. But
yeah,
it's really nice.
but that's it's in the plans, right?
It's in the plans, yeah.
And so like I definitely like my kids want to go to Japan. I'm part Japanese, so like yeah, so like I want to go visit those roots, and like
Japan is awesome, dude.
Yeah, and that's what everybody says, So,
dude, we should compete in Japan, because in Japan they have this whole like honor system and this old school martial art. I really want to go to Japan and compete. So, but we should plan on doing that together. Get ready.
Yeah, train, that'd be rad.
And then bring the families.
Yeah, that'd be rad.
Cool. So like, there's a book called Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. Yep. And it says, is it more important to feed the goose or lay more eggs? Right? Do you want more eggs, or do you have to take care of the golden goose? And what it says is you have to take care of the golden goose so it can lay more eggs. So to me, when you had that epiphany, you realize that was the golden goose you have to feed. Yeah. It's the family, yourself. And then all the rewards and all the eggs that you get is going to be it's just a reward, because that's just a byproduct of the golden goose.
Yeah, absolutely. I read that book in college, and I remember it saying that, and it's true. It's like, as far as, quote unquote educated as I am, like, it's so funny to think that like, or funny to me, I guess, that like, you read all these books and all this stuff, and then nothing clicks until it clicks.
Like,
I
remember that.
Man, like that book was right, or whatever,
But I think unintentionally you do that. Like, so feeding the golden goose is getting 1% better. Right. Like, eating correctly, working out, right, feeding, taking care of your family. I mean, it seems like you've been doing that your whole time. Going to jiu-jitsu, training, all that stuff, getting your mind right. So what do you eat every day to stay in shape? Like, what's your diet like, and how do you stay on top of it?
Peptides. I eat a lot of peptides.
Oh, you eat a lot of peptides. What's your favorite peptide?
Oh man, that's tough, bro, because I've kind of been a guinea pig for all of them since like for like 5 years, so like before like it was a cool thing to do.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Like I was kind of guinea pigging myself, but man, like
what would you recommend for like another 45-year-old person who trains and is always hurt? What's the best peptide for them?
I don't know if that there's a best one, but
Okay.
you need an anti-inflammatory for sure. So, you know, you could start, everybody's gateway peptide is BPC. And TB500. So those are also great, but I've been playing with KPV a lot, and that's been huge for inflammation for me. And
like, does it help your like joints or
yeah,
what do you feel off of that?
Like for me, it was just like, man, I would inject and then like my knees would feel like relief instantly.
Interesting.
And I don't know if that was like placebo or not, but I've been running it for quite a while, and I don't have the same achiness when I wake up. I don't have to kick my leg to get out of bed, you know, type thing. And so that's a good old guy peptide.
Did
for sure.
you have any knee injuries before?
Just years of basketball and
Okay,
skateboarding,
basketball, okay.
and so like no surgeries, but just probably to the point of like arthritis or
old age.
Yeah, you know,
meniscus.
just getting beat up. You know, like I think I tore my meniscus early on in jiu-jitsu, and I was running peptides already, so I just started, you know, doing a certain protocol, and
It helped.
it helped.
Did it fix the problem?
I think it fixed the problem, because I haven't had a problem with it since.
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah, you know, so I don't know that I have a favorite one because they all do different things. Like to maintain size right now, like on the GH one, so like CJC 1295 and Ipamorelin, those are really good for that. But most importantly, for your sleep, man.
Before you sleep?
Dude, you could break into my house, I wouldn't know it. That's how deep sleep I
How many hours of sleep do you get at night?
I shoot for 8. That's my goal. But, you know, and with my crazy schedule, man, it could, like, you know, I was at work till midnight last night. So, but my internal clock goes off at 4:30. So, you know, that's not a great deal of sleep. So I kind of lie there and I toss and turn. But I shoot for regulars, you know, when I'm working a normal schedule, 8 hours of sleep.
Okay. So when you do all the peptides, when I read about it, is that you can either go into, like for your knee, do you inject it at the knee, or do you kind of just take a pill, or is it?
No, I don't do any anything pill form. Like early on in the early days, I did explore those, but then I really started to feel the effects from them when I started doing injectable stuff, and so I would go direct to site, you know, if I
Direct to site.
Yeah, so like, hey, you know, I'm having an elbow issue from getting on bar, or knee issues, right? I'd go direct to site, and I don't know that it works any better than, you know, sub Q, but you know, I always tell people we're all different. Like, so what works for me may not work for you, right? And there's peptides that I've tried that I'm like, I didn't work it. And I'll run them for like, I won't just do like the 30 days, you know, I'll run it for 90 days to see. And I'm like, yeah, there was nothing there for me. Like, you know, like methylene blue is one of those ones that like I've tried. And like initially I had some like super cognitive, like, you know, I thought I had these like superpowers.
Like limitless?
Yeah, dude. And like, it was kind of like one of those things, like I'm reading my computer screen at work. And like, it's like, but then like after, you know, a few days of that, it just kind of stopped working for me. So maybe my body just didn't need it or something. But yeah. So, but back to your original question of what do I eat? Like I eat pretty clean. Like when I was heavy into CrossFit, like I was super paleo. Like I was, you know, pretty much Twix and berries.
How old were you
Twix
back then?
Oh gosh, I started doing CrossFit in like 2009.
Okay. So 17 years.
Yeah, so about 17 years ago, and you know, and then I got my level 1 cert through CrossFit, and I started coaching, and you know, one of my partners, or a couple of my partners, we started our own CrossFit affiliate at the police department called CrossFit Theseus. And so I would coach and work out and do all those things through the CrossFit realm and programming and all that stuff, and it was fun. And I think I really enjoyed CrossFit because of the suck. But now for like my diet and stuff, I just eat clean. You know, like
Nothing crazy. Like, I'm sure. Yeah, I mean, you're Hispanic, right? So you
no, I'm not actually.
You're not.
I'm half Italian, a quarter black, and a quarter Japanese.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
like my wife, everyone, she's a pharmacist and she used to work at CVS.
Yeah.
And she looks Hispanic, and they'd like go up to her at the clerk and they
start
split,
speaking.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I
And
get
then
that all the time.
she's like, no, I'm half Filipino, half Pakistani. I'm sorry, I don't speak it. So
Yeah.
you're kind of like that ethnically ambiguous.
Yes,
American.
culturally ambiguous.
Culturally ambiguous.
Yeah, I had a boss that called me that one time, and it kind of stuck. So like I eat clean, man. Like, you know, that's like I'll have my ground turkey or my ground beef or my steak and my chicken, and you know, I kind of mix it up throughout the day. You know, I'm eating egg whites in the morning, and you know, sourdough toast, and you know, get some carbs in there and some fruit. Like, I eat a pretty balanced diet. It's pretty clean. Like, I'm not, but all that to be said, I'm going to enjoy myself too. Like, if my kids are like, "Hey, Dad, let's go get yogurt," I'm going to get yogurt with them. But I'm not only going with them; I'm going to have the biggest bowl of it, and I'm going to enjoy it.
Like 2 of them.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't shy away from that stuff. You know, especially like my wife and kids were all on vacation or something like that. Like, we're going to enjoy ourselves. Like, that's what we work hard for. Like, I try not to be so vain and, you know, into what I look like. Yeah, it's important to me, but you know, I'm going to enjoy myself as well.
Yeah. So you're 42 right now. I love talking to 40-year-olds and 50-year-olds. Reason is because we just have so much experience and we see the world differently than when we did when we were 20 and 30.
Yeah, no kidding.
So what would you tell the 22-year-old Daniel Sardegna if you went to go grab coffee? Like 1 or 2 sentences.
Oh gosh, that's a good question. I'd probably be like, "Yo, bro."
Yo, bro.
You need to chill out.
Yeah.
You kind of get angry sometimes, and you're hard-headed. But if you learn to listen, you'll do well in life. And I think that's what I would say.
You think that 22-year-old would listen?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's something about being humble and then listening. Like when I tell my son something, he won't listen, but after he faces the consequences, then he'll start listening, right? It's like you need that certain level of humility. How hard was it for you to get humbled when you're like 22 years old? Like, were you just, because it seemed like you were always successful at everything?
Yeah, man. Like, I think like getting into law enforcement was super humbling experience because I wasn't the best in the room.
Yes. Okay.
Like we were all equal. Like you're going to the academy and you are nobody. They literally label you nobody. That is what your flag says when you're in the class. You're either an unknown or a nobody, and they humble you down. That's, you know, it's to break you up, build you up, break you down, like mentality.
It's like the black belt, man.
Yeah. And I think that's when it like clicked for me. Like, hey, you're not like you're nobody special. You are just like everybody else. And then like, you know, you graduate the academy and you got this big ego, and then you get into the training program, and then they're like,
kick back down.
Yeah, you're nobody. you're gonna sit in the car while the rest of us eat. You're gonna work on reports. You're gonna, you know, you're not a cop yet. Even though you have a badge and a gun, you are not a cop yet. And so then you graduate the FTO program, and then now you're a solo officer. Now you think you're Joe Badass, and then you get punked by some gangster on the street, like you know, like, okay, rookie. Like, I'm like, oh heck no, you know, like, and then, but those are all humbling experiences. So like you know, even today, you know, like, I try not to act like I know more than a younger cop, because I have a lot of young guys on my team right now, and I go to them for stuff all the time. Like, what are you guys? What's the current trend? What are you guys doing about this now? Like, I try to stay humble with them because they're jokesters too, and they'll put you in your place, and I appreciate that. I'm appreciative of that. So you know, I try to stay humble as much as I can. You know, there's moments of arrogancy. I think we all get it, especially in the Type A personalities. You know, you just killed a workout, or you know, you went around in jiu-jitsu, and then you get humbled by the black belt. And, you know, like, so like, I think it's just staying constantly varied in that world.
You're right. Like, it's so important to be in a group where you're not the best and you're not the worst. And when you do become the best, you don't belong in that group anymore. Right. You need to find a new group.
Well, and I think it's And maybe it's not so much finding a new group because
expanding your group.
Well, I don't expand anything. My group is small and tight for a reason. I keep my group small for a reason because those are the people I can trust that are going to be like, yo, dude, you're getting out of line. Hey, you need to check yourself. Maybe they won't say it like that, bro. Hey, you want to compete in this? Something like that. So I keep my group small because I know that those are the people that I can trust, and then they're gonna tell me, hey, check yourself. And I can, oh shoot, if my best friend's telling me that, I probably should listen.
That's like then that would more fall into like that iron sharpens iron, because you guys are all sharp blades, and so it just takes one moment to dull it up again. And lose the humility, and now you gotta go get humbled again. But it takes a good group of friends to keep you in line like that.
Yeah, and I can rely on my wife to keep me humble.
Oh yeah. The wife will keep you humble.
Yeah.
But if you don't stay humble, then she will
check
you up, bro.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
If your wife and daughters were sitting here 30 years from now, describing you in one sentence, what would you hope they say?
Oh man, I would hope that they say that I was a good father and husband, but a funny guy, outgoing, willing to tote the line for them. Always willing to enjoy life.
Enjoy life.
Yeah.
And I think that's what success is, man. That final question is what your family and your friends, your training partners, is what, if you were to die, like what they would say at your funeral.
Yeah.
And man, I would tell you this, man. I would have nothing but good things to say to you, except your guard. No, I'm just kidding.
For real.
But yeah, we're gonna wrap that up right here. Thank you, Daniel. Appreciate you for coming in. That was such good information. So if you guys are, wanting to get into the SWAT or Redlands PD or any type of law enforcement anywhere in the country, where can they, see your stuff at, or how can they reach you?
Yeah, you can find me at Sardangerous1 on Instagram, and that's my most used platform. And then you can follow me on TikTok from there if you'd like. But if you want to reach out to me, you can always contact me at Redlands Police Department also, and I'll help you get you going.
Nice, man. All right, so thanks for listening. This is 1% Better podcast, where if you get 1% better a day, you can potentially become 37 times better in a year. And what more than do we want than growth? Because growth causes helping other people to grow, to get better, and that's kind of what life is about. And if you enjoyed this content, follow us, listen. If you're on your way home, or if you're driving to work and you need a little bit of motivation, hey, we're here to give it to you. But yeah, follow us for our next episode. Thanks for watching, guys.
1% better every day. 1% better, come with me. Built with a purpose, made to rise, created by God.